So you want to know a little bit about cryptocurrency. It's a hot topic. So what is cryptocurrency? Well, let me take a step back, because to understand cryptocurrency, it's helpful to spend at least a little bit of time talking about a more basic question. And the question is, what is money? Now, a simple working definition of money is this. Money acts as three things at the same time. Number one, it acts as a medium of exchange. It's a way that we can buy and sell things. Number two, it's a way to measure the value of things consistently. And number three, it's a way to store value as a simple type of investment. Now, a long time ago, we used to use gold or silver as money. In fact, gold and silver are still some of the most reliable ways to store or hold on to value on the planet today. But that's kind of beside the point. Now, in the old days, if you wanted to buy something, you might have to carry around these heavy bits of gold or silver. So it wasn't exactly convenient as a medium of exchange. But then somebody had the bright idea, hey, what if we just left all the gold or silver in a bank somewhere, and instead we could carry around these special pieces of paper that could act as a type of proof that we had enough gold or silver in the bank to cover any debts that we might have. So we could purchase things with them directly. You could take the money to a bank, you could swap it for gold or silver, you could pay for things, or you could just hold on to it as a simple way to invest and hide it up under your mattress somewhere. Well, then back in the early 20th century, governments decided that paper money shouldn't just represent real gold or silver in a vault somewhere. Instead, paper money started to represent the very idea of money, or that working definition of money that we talked about earlier. And that was the point in time where money just became a way to represent the value of something that we own, or the purchasing power that we might have using something like dollars, or the value assigned to those pieces of paper like dollars. And it was backed up by the reputation of various governments around the world that control the various currencies of the world through their central banks. So that's really important to understand. Now, if you fast forward to 2008, there was someone or a group of people that called themselves Satoshi Nakamoto. And they took the idea of money essentially to another level. And they essentially asked the question, why do we need to have these governments and central banks in the middle of what we call money? Now, it's important to remember, too, that this was when the global financial crisis was at its height, and the world's economies were roiling, and trust levels with institutions were extremely low. So Satoshi Nakamoto introduced the idea of Bitcoin, a form of digital money that uses electronic units of value, like an individual Bitcoin, to facilitate the exchange of value as a way to measure the value of things, goods, services, property, and as a way to store value. Now, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are not really great right now at any of these functions of money because they're not widely used. They're not as widely used as currencies. But that could change. Like our idea of money today, cryptocurrencies extend the representation of value to the digital rather than paper money. Now, in a way, we've already been operating this way for a long time. When you look at the balance of your bank account in dollars or pounds or yen, you might think that that's representing paper money that's stored in a bank vault somewhere. But in reality, those numbers on your screen, if you go online, are just representing the idea of money in the form of a currency as a store of value that's backed up by a government. How does cryptocurrency work in this way? So the term cryptocurrency comes from the underlying cryptography that supports the way that cryptocurrencies are stored, exchanged, and protected in what is called a digital wallet. So your digital wallet is where you personally store, protect, spend, and receive cryptocurrency. And this is all thanks to encryption, specifically your own very important encryption key. That's the only thing that can be used to open your digital wallet. So cryptocurrencies are in many ways just digital forms of money that we're all used to, and yet it allows for us to transfer money peer-to-peer or person-to-person We can send value, that money, and we rely on technology, specifically extremely hard to break cryptography. So how is a cryptocurrency any different from what we have today when we transfer money from one person to another? Well, for one thing, with a cryptocurrency, there's not a bank or credit card company that gets in the middle of that transfer to help handle or facilitate the payment. When we do choose to transfer money using a bank or a credit card company today, one of the reasons we make that choice is to have some level of security and trust. So we pay a transaction fee to the bank or the credit card company for the assurance that that exchange of value is legitimate and it's safe. Well, when we use a cryptocurrency, trust is achieved not by using a bank or a credit card company as an intermediary. It's achieved through the use of the highest levels of cryptography, through widespread collaboration, and some very clever computer code using something called a blockchain. Now, blockchain is the underlying technology that supports most cryptocurrencies. It's a system of trust that supports cryptocurrencies. And there's much more to say about blockchain, but let's keep our focus on cryptocurrencies just for the moment. So when you send and receive value, let's just call that money for simplicity's sake, and you do that via a cryptocurrency, that transaction is recorded in a global public ledger simultaneously across millions of copies of that global public ledger in millions of locations around the world. And this is essentially that network of trust that I referred to. It works to validate the transaction that the two parties to the payment are engaged in. So instead of a bank or a credit card company validating all of the steps in the transaction between me and a merchant or me and another person, this global trust network does that for me at either no cost or at a fraction of the cost of what a bank or a credit card company would charge. So what are the opportunities that exist today with cryptocurrencies? Well, central banks and the financial services industry are the most likely areas to be disrupted if cryptocurrencies take off in a big way, and it looks like they will. When buying and selling can be done peer-to-peer, instant transactions between people and merchants, or merchants and other merchants, all become faster, easier, cheaper, and safer. Now think about the last time you bought something at a coffee shop, maybe a convenience store or a fast food outlet. You might have tapped your credit card on a card reader and thought, well, that's all there was to the transaction. Done. Well, what was actually going on behind the scenes was that a bunch of back and forth messages between different companies were happening. Some of them were using 40-year-old technology to validate and facilitate your transaction. And a full 3 days later, a settlement occurred between the credit card company and or your bank and the merchant that you bought your coffee, candy bar, or burger from. Now, if that transaction had been done using a cryptocurrency, there would be no 3-day delay because the payment and the settlement are essentially the same activity, and there's nobody in between except that global trust network doing an instant validation. And by the way, this is all being done in a much more secure way using a cryptocurrency compared to those companies with their old technology and what they're providing today. So, in summary, cryptocurrency has the potential to completely disrupt the financial services industry. Don Tapscott, who's the author of Blockchain Revolution, great book, describes it this way. If you think about where the World Wide Web was, say in 1994, that's kind of where we are now with cryptocurrencies and the underlying blockchain technology. If you remember in 1994, if you're that old, it wasn't exactly easy to get on the web for anything but the most basic information sharing. But look at where we are today and how we use the internet today, how the internet has changed our lives and the economies of the world. That's the type of trajectory we're on with cryptocurrencies and blockchain.